So in this lecture, we will start how to connect database with Python. So to connect database, we need to install a server that is XAMPP. XAMPP server is what? This is the XAMPP server, right? Which is containing MySQL. So we need to install any type of database, right? I have installed here MySQL, right? I'll make a connection um, SQL to Python, right? So I have installed my SQL database server, right? Now, after that, to connect Python with the database, you need to install a module, which name is MySQL, because MySQL module is not a built-in module. I have already installed here, but I'll show you that just uh, type a simple command, that is help, and open parenthesis, give the modules, which will show all the installed or built-in modules, right? So I have already installed my SQL module, right? So there is no need to install my SQL module, right? But if you are working with the database, you need to install MySQL, right? So here I have already installed my SQL server in my local machine. Just see this, my SQL module, right? So this is not the built-in module, right? So after this, what you have to do is, let's make a program to connect database with Python, right? Let's take an empty file of Python and save it with any name. I'll save this file with db.python. db is nothing, just a file name, which means we are writing a program for database to Python, right? Just click on the save button. Now, first of all, import a module. Import MySQL, right? Which contains submodule dot connector, right? So this is the main module and which contains submodule, which is connector, MySQL dot connector. And now create an alias using as keyword. I give the name SQL con, that means SQL connection, right? Now after this, create an string, that is connection string, right? So I take a variable that is con. You can keep any other name of that connection string, right? So I take con as a variable here, right? After this, SQL con. By using this alias, you have to call a method that is connect, right? And open parenthesis and close parenthesis, and just write the some attributes. The first one is user. You have to pass username for your database. If uh, you are having any of database and you are having any security, uh, you just pass. You just need to pass username. If You don't keep any username. So by default, the username is root, and password will be blank, right? Password will be empty. You just pass your username and password here if you are having, right? So I don't have any username and password. That's why I'm passing root as the password. Sorry, as the username. So if you are not giving any username here, you just need to pass a default name, that is user, and password as a blank, right? And now the other thing is that um, host on which uh, your database server is running. You have to pass your host name. Just pass the local host here, and you can also give an IP address here of your local machine, right? So just pass the IP address or the local host in place of that, right? Now the next thing is care set, right? UTF-8, and DB is what? DB is database name, right? What database you want to be created and you want to use with that database, right? Suppose I am giving a database name that is ABC. I'll make this database, right, into my database server. After this, one more thing is required, that is port, right? What is the port number of your database server? Uh, the default port number of my SQL server is 3306. This is the default port number, right? If you install MySQL server, so the port will be 3306. Note it down. Is it clear to you? Is it clear to you? Yes or no?
Hello, yes, 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 it's clear.
Okay. So just note that port if you install MySQL server. So different databases uh, having different ports, right? So MySQL having 3306 port number, right? So if you install MySQL server, if you work with the MySQL server database, right? So you need to write, or you need to give that port number 3306. Now after this, uh, we have created a connection string. Now check if connection dot is connected, right? If all the things are correct, right? So this method will return the true. So I just compare with the true keyword. If connection dot is connected true, if the connection is successfully connected, so it will return the true with help of this method. So I'll compare with true keyword, right? And after this, give a message, connection established, connection established, right? Or if you are having any um, problem with the connection, or if you found any error with the connection string, so it will return uh, a message. Just I will pass here uh, that is unable to connect. You can pass any other message with this block, right? So if your connection is successfully connected, that will return the connection established, or otherwise that will return unable to connect. After this, you have created the connection string, which means you open the connection for the queries. Now, after this, you have to close connection string with close method, right? So now, after writing this code, these lines of code, we have created a simple connection of MySQL database server with the Python, right? Now execute this program. If the message is written connection established, that means you have successfully connected with your database, right? See this errors. Now close that file and just open the file in IDLE mode, and after this just execute this command and it should be returned uh, connection established, right? So we we did not create any database, right? So we have to create a database which name is ABC. Now until that, I remove that database from here. I'll add after this execution completed, right? So I execute this program once again and see this what happens. It has written connection established. That means my database server uh, connected with the Python, right? Now what I have to do next is just uh, add the database which I have added earlier, that is ABC, and now create that database into database server, right? So I just open my database server and I create a database type ABC here, right? That shows
Yes.
create new database and write ABC here. Now click on create button, which will create your database. If all the things are correct, your database will be created here, listed. Um, left side, you can see here. Now click on this. Now the next thing is create a table inside this database. Suppose I give the table name, that is S student info, right? This is my table name, and how many fields you want to be created. I just give only 5 fields which is to be created inside this file, right? And now click on go button, that will show the fields. Now first is what stud id. This will be my first column name in the file, and what type of data you want to be inserted in this column, right? I want to insert only the integer value in this column, so I will select integer value, uh, which should be not null, contains something. Something is what will contain some value, right? So I just give the null, right? Null means which will contain some, which will not contain some value, which can be null. If I don't, I if I don't make any check here, right? If I uncheck this box, so that means um, I want to insert any value in this column, right? So I will check this checkbox, and now the second thing is uh, create this second column, that is stud name. So what type of data um, want to be inserted, right? So selective only the varchar. This means you are inserting any text value inside it, right? And after this, age contains integer value, and which we should not be null, right? So we should not be null. Just check the checkbox, and after this, mobile, right? And country, right? So
Yes.
country is what? A varchar, right? It contains some text value. Now after this, do one more thing. Just make uh, just check all the checkboxes here, right? And int, varchar, age int, mobile int, varchar. Now save. Click on save button. What happens? Uh, okay, varchar. If you are using varchar type of data type, so you have to pass the length of the characters, right? Suppose I am passing only the 100 characters to be inserted, right? I will use 50 characters here. Now click on save button and see this, your table has been created here, right? This is all we have done here in the database. Now after this, add database, and you will work with this database name, right? So that database should be exist uh, in the database, right? So after all, we have created the database and a table inside it, right? Now after this, write a query to insert a record in the database using Python. Just write a query. Okay, to insert the record, you have to write a query, that is insert into table name is what? Just give the table name stud info. Stud info is our table name uh, in which we want to insert record, right? Just pass the values and the values accordingly, right? So suppose the first one is stud id, so I'll pass student id only here. 1001 is my stud id, and the next thing is what? Name. Suppose John is the name of the student, right? And after this, what other column is age. Now pass the age of that student, 26, and the next thing is mobile. Suppose 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. This is mobile number, and the last thing is the country name. Suppose America, right? So this is all about query. And now create an object of cursor, right? By using cursor object, we will call uh, the execute method, which will execute our query, right? Which we have written here, right? Now call the cursor method by the connection string, and we have created an object of cursor method. Now it will contain execute method, which will execute a query that is for inserting any record in the database. Now pass the query here, and after this, close the cursor by using close method. And now give a simple message here. If all the things are correct, that means you have successfully inserted your record. So I'll give suppose record has been inserted successfully. Right. So this is all about the insertion. Right. Now execute this lines of code and see what happens. See this table ABC does not exist. Just check the table name. What table we have created is student info. The table name is student info, and we are passing only student info. Make sure the table name should be correct. Student info. Now the table name is correct, and other things are also correct. So now execute this lines of code, and what happens? See this. First, in the step one, a connection established, and then the record which you want to insert has been inserted successfully, right? So here, look at this in the database. Is your record has been inserted or not? Now just click on the table name and see this. Your database has been inserted successfully. Is it clear?
Yes.
Is it clear to you? All the things,
Yes.
whatever we have written here is clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the do one more thing is uh, take these values from the user, right? Take these values from the user and pass it in the query, right? Just take a variable that is input, that is underscore id. This is the variable name, nothing else, right? And I'll take an input as an id, right? So just uh, int and input, please enter the id, right? And after this, name, enter name, enter age, okay, enter mobile number, And now the last thing is country. Enter country name. Okay, now just uh, call the format method dot format and pass all the names here: ID, name, age, mobile, country. Right? Age, mobile, country, right? And here you need to pass, just you don't need pass value here, just pass the content placeholder here: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now execute this program once again and connection established, and please enter the ID, which is 1002. Enter name, block. Enter age, 30. Enter mobile number. Enter country name, right? And if all the things are correct, then it will return record has been inserted successfully, right? So here you can see that record has been inserted in the database. Okay, so this is the database which is connected with the Python, and we are asking um, some information from users in Python and inserted into database, which is MySQL, right? So this is all about the connectivity of Python. Is it clear to you?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the connection string. I write here connection string. Just note it down if you want. You want to note it? And
Yes.
inserting record in database. Right. In the next lesson, we will perform some more queries of SQL using Python, like delete records, searching records, and update records, and other things we will do, right?
Yes.
Now practice it as much as you can. This is the connection string, which is most important for every program uh, which 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 is written um, by Python language to be connected with database, MySQL, right, or any other uh, database, right? Suppose SQL, Oracle,
Yes.
and other database servers, right? And this is for insertion inserting record into the database, right? So here we have created a query for insertion, and we are passing this some values taking from the user, right? And after this, we have inserted all the records taken by the user, right?
Yes.
Okay. So in the next lecture, we will do some more operations of
Okay.
MySQL, right? So till that,
Yes.
goodbye. See you in the next
Bye.
lesson. Bye.
Bye.